Alrighty, what is up, y'all? Tonight we're gonna head out to West Valley and enjoy some of these beautiful empty warehouses on a warm night. But on the way, I wanted to discuss the topic of if e-motos should be sold at dealerships. In the current state of e-motos, we're in a hybrid model. And what I mean by that is you can buy bikes many different ways compared to the traditional buying process of a gas bike. So we are starting to see more and more e-motos be sold at physical dealerships, but I would say most are bought through an online authorized dealer. And although it's different than the traditional physical dealership model, you're still paying added fees and you're not exactly getting MSRP for the bike. And although we don't have a direct to consumer method right now with e-motos, meaning Talaria and Surron don't sell bikes directly, but you can still go to websites like Alibaba and get similar deals. That's a nice MT-09 right there. Got like an FZ07 maybe. Had to pull in one of my favorite lots real quick. But the question is though, how should manufacturers go about selling these bikes? So first, let's go over the pros and cons of each model. So to start, we'll go with the dealership model, which I'll just be up front, I'm not a huge fan of. This is coming from somebody that just went to a lot of motorcycle dealerships. And I'll be honest, my experience at the dealership I bought my bike at was good. I got my bike for a reasonable price, knowledgeable, cool people there, and overall for a dealership purchase is pretty hassle-free. I'm not coming at this argument as somebody that's salty or has been ripped off or had bad experiences, because it's really the opposite. I mean, I've had good experiences for the dealership. And I bought this bike through Lunicycle, which is an online authorized dealer. So I've done both the dealership processes recently, and still overall the online one's better. But back to the pros of the dealership. I think the biggest thing is they just have a physical presence and inventory. So you can go sit on, try out bikes before you buy them. Because I'm sure we've all been there where you have some dream bike or some bike you're looking at and want to get online, and then you go to the dealership and sit on it and feel it out, and you're kind of like, I don't know if this is for me actually. So I think that's a huge pro. I mean, you can go there and check things out and get a pretty good feel for the bike before you buy it. Compared to an online authorized dealer with a lot of these e-motos, unless you have a friend or you know somebody with a bike, you're gonna have to take a risk and just hope you like it. Along with that, dealerships also offer good financing options. Usually the financing of the dealerships can be a little easier than using an online lender. With that being said, you can definitely still go get a loan and buy an e-moto. But if somebody's just looking to do it all in-house, that could be a pro for some. And along with that, you also get that support network. If you go buy, for my case, like a Kawasaki, there's 5 or 6 shops within 20 minutes of me that work on Kawasaki's. I'm blessed. Living in Utah, we actually have a couple good e-moto shops here. So I really could get some work done on this bike too, but I know for most that's not the case. I'm just in a unique situation. So if you're living in a more rural area or just in a place that doesn't have an e-moto shop yet, it can be nice to have that support network if something goes wrong and you can't fix it yourself. Okay, now let's go over some cons of the dealership. To me, the number one con of the dealership is the lack of transparency. Some are better than others, and you can get a real out-the-door price before you go there. But most dealerships, you're going to have to just play the game with them of, oh, what's the out-the-door price, and haggle them, and it usually just ends up being a hassle. That's another great stretch of road right there. So to the next con, it's going to be usually higher prices than an online authorized dealer or direct to consumer. Now there's going to be a one-off occasion where you can find a really good deal at a dealership, maybe a couple-year-old leftover bike, but usually between all the markups and everything, it ends up being a ridiculous cost out the door compared to the MSRP. And to the next con, there's going to be a lack of inventory and limited selection. It's rare to find a dealership that carries brand new every single manufacturer. You go to one dealership, they got Kawasaki's and Suzuki's, and then you go over to the Honda one, and then there's a Yamaha one, and then you got your, whatever. So, you might have to hit a couple dealership if you're cross-comparing brands. Now let's go ahead and do the direct-to-consumer model, starting with the pros. I think the biggest one is just going to be the pricing. I mean, if you order a bike from Alibaba, it's going to be a lot cheaper than if you go to a dealership. And sometimes the cons that come with that we'll talk about are actually worth it because of the savings. Another huge pro is you're going to get transparency and know exactly what you're paying out the door. Along with just the comfort of just being in your home, ordering off your computer, pretty seamless process. Now, if you're like me, I kind of like going to the bike dealership. Even if I'm not in the market, I'll just go sit on a couple bikes, have some fun there. But still, I mean, if you don't have a dealership near you or you just don't feel like going, it is kind of nice. You can just order one of these bikes online. What is going on back here? What is this? Good times. And the last pro I'm going to say for direct to consumer is you got options, right? You can cross shop. Since you're not going to all those dealerships, it's really easy to compare prices, get the best deal. It really puts the power back in your hands, where at the dealership, you're kind of at the mercy of them or whoever's in your area. I love areas like this. I know I always tell you guys this, and we're always here, but it's just my favorite. That's why I love these bikes. Now, lastly, let's just go over some cons of the direct-to-consumer model. I think the biggest one's just going to be that you can't test ride the bike, so you really don't know what you're getting. Oh, we got a hoop. Is there a basketball here? Oh, there is. Oh, they got like a full court setup. It's like a foam ball. This is kind of cool. Step back. We got to make one before we leave. Fun fact about me is I'm actually left-handed when it comes to throwing and shooting things. Oh! I'm all over it. I'm all over it. It's hard to shoot a foam ball. Hey! All right, we'll go put this ball back in his home. So another con of the direct-to-consumer is usually you're going to have to assemble the bike yourself. As mentioned earlier, physical dealerships typically do a little bit of setup, but they're going to charge you for it. With a lot of the e-motors, you're going to have to do some assembly when you get it. But in my experience with the Triple X, it was really easy. From a lot of other setup videos I've seen, it seems pretty straightforward on most bikes. I'd rather save the extra couple $100 and just put the bike together myself. But, you know, something to keep in mind is you are going to have to do a little bit of assembly when you get these bikes, typically. Now, another thing I know I mentioned earlier, but again, the support system. So if something goes wrong and you can't fix it yourself, there may be no one in the area that can actually fix it. Now, the thing is, if you have a common bike, most issues are going to be out there in forums, videos, somewhere you can figure it out. But it's something to keep in mind. If you don't like working on bikes, you're not super mechanically inclined, that could be an issue for you. I always like going off ledges. Once I get an e-motor with a little better suspension, I'll be going off more flats like that. So in summary, the bottom line is dealerships are for people that value convenience, in-person support, and financing options, where direct-to-manufacturer works better for savvy buyers that are looking for a lower cost and less hassle. In my opinion, the current e-moto model is actually really good. I don't think it should go all or nothing on either side. I think hybrid is perfect because you really can just decide what you value and go from there. For me, for most e-motos, I'd rather just go direct to consumer because I know I can put the bike together and save some bucks. But hey, if you want to go to a dealership and sit on one and test it out, go for it. Why not? Really, in general, I'm always for people having options, so I don't want it to go all or nothing either way. So let me know what you guys think. How should these manufacturers go about selling these bikes? But that's gonna do it for this one. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch y'all next video.